Happened is the police car spotted us and they came and they ran up on us. They had their guns drawn and they put us under arrest. They put us in handcuffs and they called us little nigger boys, little rats, and they hit my head on the cars. They was shoving me in the car. They took us down to the police station. They made us strip off our clothes.
What did you think was going on?
I was afraid. I was terrified.
What's up, family? I am the Mysterious Black Bandit. Welcome or welcome back to the #1 true crime / tragic events channel on YouTube. Let me ask y'all this. Have y'all heard that kissing case of 1958? Well, if you like me, go ahead and get ready. It's gonna be one for your behinds. Before we get started, y'all know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss your boy whenever I upload. Once you've done that, let's get to the story. In late October 1958 in Monroe, North Carolina, 9-year-old James Thompson and 7-year-old David Simpson were outside playing with some friends over in a white neighborhood when one of the kids suggested that Sissy Marcus, a 7-year-old little white girl, give these two black boys a kiss. So the little girl goes over and gives David and James an innocent peck on the cheek and walks away. Now, James and David didn't think anything of it, but what they didn't know, this was a horrible mistake. When Sissy got home, the little white girl, she told her mother, Bernice Marcus, about the encounter and all hell broke loose. Her mother became so upset that she washed her mouth out with lie, then called the police and accused the little boys of, you know what, her daughter. Now, before the police could even get to the boys' house, Sissy's father and their neighbors, the good old boys, picked up their shotguns and went looking for the boys and their parents, but fortunately, they weren't able to find them. Later on that evening, the police went over to David and James' house, bust through the door, and told these little kids that they were going to jail, then unlawfully arrested them. Now, at first, everyone was confused as to what was going on because the police wouldn't tell the parents or the little boys what they had did, but as soon as they got to that jail, they knew exactly what they did wrong. The officers told them they were going to pay for what they did to that little girl, and their punishment was going to start immediately. While the two little boys were handcuffed, they took them down to the bottom of the police station to a cell and began punching them in their stomach, back, and legs, making sure to stay away from their face so no one could tell that they were being beat. For 6 long days, these little boys weren't allowed to see or talk to their parents, and on top of that, they refused them legal counseling. Every single day, the police would continue to beat on these little boys and threaten them with more injury if they didn't confess to assaulting this little girl. Now, a few days later, the juvenile judge, Hampton Price, convicted James and David of molestation, stating since they just stood there doing their trial and didn't say nothing, he knew that that was a confession of guilt, then sentenced the boys to an indefinite term at the Morrison Training School for Negro Boys and told them maybe they could get out when they turned 21. Now, by this time, the case had gained national attention and these two journalists from Europe and the UK got permission to visit the boys, so they brought their mothers along with them. Well, while they were in there, one of the journalists managed to smuggle a camera inside and took pictures of the mothers hugging their two little boys. After their visit, photos were published showing the little boys had been severely beaten and abused by the arresting officers. The article gained so much attention that the United States Information Agency received more than 12,000 letters regarding the case, with most people expressing outrage at the arrest. Just over this little white girl kissing two black boys, James and David's mothers were fired from their job and had to be relocated to a nearby town for their safety because members of the White Cap kept burning crosses in their front yard, and some people even shot through their houses. Then, on Halloween night, some of the Whitecaps visited the boys in their jail cell to intimidate them. Fearing for their life, the two little boys tried climbing the cell walls just to escape. One of the boys stated each week during his detention, he was sent to a psychologist, and this psychologist would tell him they should have castrated y'all. Now, after a while, they were finally granted access to legal counseling. The NAACP had to raise funds to hire an experienced outside lawyer to appeal their case because the lawyers in the state of North Carolina were too afraid to take it. With all the publicity, North Carolina officials offered a deal to the boys' mother. Well, this deal stated in order for them to be released, the boys had to admit to doing what they did to the little girl. Of course, the mothers refused, and this dragged the incarceration on into 1959. Finally, after receiving a petition with over 15,000 names, the First Lady, Eleanor Roosevelt, personally phoned the president and asked him to intervene. In turn, the president phoned the governor of North Carolina and immediately pressured him into releasing these two little boys. After 3 months of detention, James Thompson and David Simpson were finally released and their criminal records were expunged, but when they got home, nothing was the same. One of their sisters stated when their brother came home, it was like seeing someone totally different or someone they didn't even know. Then to make things worse, he wouldn't even talk about what went on in the jail cell. With everything these two little boys had to endure, not only were they never compensated, but not one North Carolina official apologized for what they had done. The governor, who was openly embarrassed about the negative publicity, refused to give any apology. To this day, James Thompson and David Simpson never really recovered from this ordeal. While David Simpson largely disappeared from public records, James Thompson, on the other hand, spent most of his adult life in and out of prison for robbery, which made the local newspaper declare what happened to them was deserved. In a 2011 interview, James speculated on how his life might have been if he wouldn't have dealt with what happened in 1958. He stated, could have gone off to college or some great school if this wouldn't have happened to him. But instead, it just destroyed his life. Could y'all imagine if you and your kids were put through this same scenario? I don't know about y'all, but I already know I would have been in jail or dead somewhere, especially messing around with my babies. This kissing case happened just 3 years after 14-year-old Emmett Till had been lynched by a Mississippi mob for the crime of allegedly whistling at a white woman. For the families, I really hate this happened to you, and I hope y'all are trying your best to sue the living ish out of North Carolina. All right, family, that will bring this video to an end. Thank y'all so much for watching. And if you enjoy content like this, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss out on any video when I upload. Y'all make sure you have a wonderful, wonderful day. And until next time, stay mysterious, my friends.